to have such a knowledgeable person in the midst of us. I immensely pleased to welcome you, ma'am. We are eagerly waiting to hear from you, ma'am, to enhance our virtual learning.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful introduction. Now, I would like to invite Ms. J. Rubina, Assistant Professor, Stella Matituna College of Education, Chennai, to deliver her valuable speech. Ma'am, please, the session is yours.
Thank you, Maria Suganti, and thank you for your warm welcome. So, shall I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Actually, today, the topic given to me is improving computing classroom practice through action research. So, before I get into the topic, now we will have a quick recall about research. What is research? Basic ideas, okay? It is a systematic probing into a situation or event or problem, opens up unseen aspects of the problem under consideration. You all know that the researcher applies themselves to the problem vigorously and in the most objective fashion in order to arrive at conclusion that have a universal values. So as we go, the research implies it has thinking, analyzing, relation finding, testing. It is an intellectual exercise. Research, in other word, is reflective thinking. So if we split the word research, so in this slide, you can see the word research is split into two, re plus search. Re is again and again, once more, fresh, new, and searches to find out something new and look through on your own perspective. Go over thoroughly finding new solution to the already existing problem. So this we all know the basic knowledge of research. Next. Research is the application of the scientific method in the study of a problem. A good research worker works diligently, thinks clearly, studies carefully and extensively, observes minutely, collects the data painstakingly, analyzes data objectively, and concludes scientifically and rationally. So next we'll see the classification of research. There would be two broad groups in research. The fundamental is otherwise known as basic research, is otherwise called as pure research. The fundamental research conducted primarily to improve our understanding of general issues without any emphasis on its immediate application. So that is a fundamental research that we all know what is fundamental research. Second category is applied research. In applied research, it is a type of research that attempt to find practical solution to the existing problems. So under that applied research only, we are going to see the action research. Educational research is essentially looked upon as applied research among the varied aspects of education. Curriculum, test and evaluation, teacher behavior, methodology, and other such areas are examined scientifically in an experimental or descriptive type. This area of growth and development are studied either as a developmental or as a case studies. It is a scientific and reflective approach to several local problems in the school setup. This is action research. Most of the researches useful and adaptable to classroom practices are in the form of action research. So I want to start with the quote of Kurt Lewin. He is a social psychologist, and you also know he is the father of action research. According to his quote, no research without action, no action without research. What is action research? It is an act of analyzing a situation leading to certain action for improvement and evaluating the result of the tried out action. Action research is focused on immediate application. It places the emphasis on the problem here and now in a school setting or any environmental educational setting. Its findings are to be evaluated in terms of local applicability and improvement in school practices. The whole purpose of action research is to involve classroom teachers to attempt to solve their classroom problems. Action research is a form of self-reflective inquiry undertaken by participants in serial situations in order to improve the rationality and justice of their own social or educational practices, as well as their understanding of practices and the situations in which these practices are carried out. Groups of participants can be teachers, students, principals, parents, and other community members also. In education, action research has been employed in school-based curriculum and also professional development, school improvement programs, and system planning, policy development. For example, in relation to policy about classroom rules, school policies about non-competitive assessment, and other state policies about the conduct of school improvement programs. The idea of linking of the terms action and research highlights the essential features of approach, that is trying out ideas in practice as a means of improvement and as a means of increasing knowledge about curriculum, teaching, and learning. The result is improvement in what happens in the classroom and in school. Action research provides a way of working which links theory and practice into the whole ideas in action. A reflective practice seeks to make sense of processes, problems, issues, and constraints made available in strategic action. So here, action plus research, action research, as it is the word first coined by the Kurt Lewin in 1944. The action research can be described as a family of research methodologies which pursue action, that is for or change, and research for understanding at the same time. A reflective practice seeks to make sense of processes, problems, issues, and constraints made available in strategic action. It takes account of the variety of perspectives possible in the social situation and comprehends the issues and circumstances in which they arise. Reflection leads to the reconstruction of the meaning of school situation and provides the basis for the revised plan. Reflection is evaluative aspect. It asks action researchers to weigh their experience to judge whether effects and issues which arose were desirable and suggest ways of proceeding. Action research is a process of systematic reflection, inquiry, and action carried out by individuals about their own practice. It is a term used to describe the professionals studying their own practice in order to improve it. So next we'll see the main objectives of action research. So first one, to bring an advancement in the infrastructural components and working conditions of a school. Next, to cultivate research vigor and scientific attitude among teachers. To motivate the teachers to address the students' problems in a scientific way. So though we are addressing the students like brainstorming method, so we have to motivate the students in a scientific way how to solve the problems. To promote a democratic environment where teachers and students together understand and solve their problems. To bring excellence in educational institutions, to develop the ability and understanding among administrators to improve and modify school conditions with a scientific outlook, to eradicate the existing static and conservative school environment, to generate a healthy school environment for effective learning, to elevate the level of aspiration and performance of the students, to improve the current practices in the schools, to confiscate the notion that professional researchers can only conduct the various to promote, to enable the regular teachers and administrators to utilize the research method, to stimulate the confidence among the practitioners, to involve in research, to solve their academic problems, to create consciousness about the problems and application of the research methods for immediate solution among the student teachers, to enable the regular teachers and administrators to utilize this research method, to stimulate the confidence among the practitioners to involve in the research to solve the academic problems, to create consciousness about the problems and application of the research methods for the immediate solutions among the student teachers, to inculcate cooperation and democratic values among the schools or the educational personnel in their work, to instill that desire and needed attitude among the school personnel to bring excellence in their work, and to create a convenient environment for the student teachers. Next, we'll see the characteristics of action research. Situational, reflective inquiry, scientific way of solving problems, small scale intervention, way to find remedies to overcome obstacles in learning, provides avenues for the teachers to be innovative, unified exercise to bridge a gap between theory and practice, way to develop self-confidence in teachers. Now let us see one by one. The first characteristic, it is situational. Action research is situational. So why we say it is situational? Action research in situation is context-based. It's based on the interpretations made by the participants. So the knowledge is created through action and application. So that's why it is a situation, as it is a context-based. Number two is reflective inquiry. So action research, also known as self-reflective practice, as it involves individuals or practitioners. That is reflecting on their own work. We are doing our work, but we should have a self-reflection, because self-reflection is very important to analyze ourselves, to know our problems, to analyze our problems. So self-reflective practice, as it involves individuals reflecting on their own work, because self-reflection is a key element within an action research. Next is small-scale intervention. Small-scale intervention is very helpful in the education field for the stakeholders, those who are in this, all the stakeholders in the education field. Next, way to find remedies to overcome obstacles in learning. Provides avenues for teachers. So for teachers, enables teachers to reflect on what they would like to change, what they would like to explore, what others are doing in the field, or what they are doing for their experiment with practice in a controlled fashion. Scientific approach, because it has two stages. Scientific approach, diagnostic stage, that is, problem is being analyzed, hypothesized, and being developed. Whereas the therapeutic stage, that is, hypotheses are tested by a consciously directed change, experimental in a social life situations. Way to develop self-confidence in teachers, that we already discussed. Next. According to Borgia and Schuler, describe components of action research, the 5 C's. The 5 C's are commitment, collaboration, concern, consideration, and change. The first one is commitment. Action research is a time-consuming process. Why we are saying it's a commitment? Because action research, we can't prolong it for a long time. It is committed to a particular time. So it's a time-consuming process, because we are finding a solution immediate for the immediate problem, immediate solution. That's why it's a commitment. Action research is a time-consuming process. The dedication and commitment of the researcher and the participant is a prerequisite of this process. The participant must be provided with enough time to think, understand, and come to conclusions regarding their participation in the research process. The researcher must inquire and observe, practice, and evolve with new strategies suitable to the situation. They should be made aware of the new strategies to be tried and must be prepared to endure the process throughout the research with willingness. The acquaintance with the fellow participants, the analysis, and the duration of the research are the important aspects of the research process. If it is 1 year, the participant must have to accept it with full commitment and sincerity. The reflection, documentation, and interpretation process should align with literature review, which also involves the researcher's patience and sincere efforts. The participants must be involved with the informed consent explaining the time duration. The observation by the researcher should be done with the permission of the participant. Commitment towards time factor should be given due consideration with care by the participants before giving consent to the participant in the action research. So commitment is overall first 5 C's is one of the very important in the action research. Number 2 is collaboration. Egalitarian and democratic environment prevails in action research, providing that every member contributes and has an equal play in reaching the goal. Every member cooperates and functions in coordination with each other. The cyclic process of action research enables and ensures the sharing of expertise and changing roles among its members to attain shared objective of the project. The members constructively explore new ideas, actively listen to others' views in order to reflect upon it and credit the contribution towards solving or attaining the goal. And the third C is concern. Action research, which is interpretive in nature, depends on the support group, which comprises of people with close association and with common attributes, knowledge base, and good conversational exchange. Such relationships are vulnerable as well as risk-taking to some extent. But the trust that exists between the team and value that underpins the project forms a basic component of our action research. Consideration. The next C is consideration. Action research for the professional development and enrichment depends mostly on the critical review of one's own practice. The mindful reflection with care and consideration develops a pattern for positive change in the professional action. Reflection process should be focused with critical examination of the practical theories, values, and real-time practices. That is very, very theories, values, and real-time practices. The practices should examine reflectively and reflexively to enable and encourage continuous learning and development. And the last C is change. Growth, improvement, and development in life is not possible without a change. Change is ongoing and the only consonance in human life. We need a change. We always want a change in life. That's all everybody wishes. Teachers should be ready to drive reform efforts, adopt changes, and modify teaching practices to be dynamic, to be competent and effective teacher. Even students in the school also, they are expecting the changes in teaching methodologies. Everywhere they need a change. The diverse changes in school, social, economic, and technological fields called for monitoring and evaluating the real classroom practices to understand the existing theories of changes and develop a system that connects with them. Thus, teachers to remain effective have to continue and progress along with the changes in the world. So this Barger and Schuler describe the components of action research as the 5 C's. Once again, I repeat: commitment, collaboration, concern, consideration, and change. Next, according to Winter, 1989, provides a comprehensive overview of 6 key principles. Let us see one by one. The first one is reflective critique. The action research is a systematic investigation on the self-practice for the teachers, professional development. Its uniqueness emanates from the set of this principle that guided. First one is reflexive critique. Evidence-based inquiry is conducted to form judgments. This process of inquiry asserts roots from self-awareness and situational understanding with personal filters in a social location. It reveals what is factual and true through the process of self-reflection of one's own perceptual bias. The reflexivity insists on framing judgments exclusively based on the personal experience and not on the universal theories. The practitioner with his dual role as researcher reflects on the issues and process and makes explicit interpretations, assumptions with a critical view to make some conclusions. The process of self-criticism fosters improvement in future cycles. A document about the situation, such as written, oral, video transcripts, or any official documents, will make implicit claims to be authoritative. The successful reflection and critique by the practitioners about the action taken form a basic constituting principle in an action research. Second principle is dialectical critique. Truth is brought to light through the process of discussion and scrutinizing. Dialectical critique refers to the dialogue between the practitioners and the participants. In educational action research, it means the teacher and the students. Thus, the reality is understood on the basis of the relationship between the phenomenon and its context and between the elements constituting the phenomenon. The discussion with the students or the participants helps the teacher or the practitioner for better understanding of the social reality and validates any research. The unstable element of the action, opposing phenomenon involved in the plan, and an adverse aspects that hinders improvement would be shared through interaction, which further enables the scope and insight for further improvement. Third key principle is collaborative resource. Action research process is never individualistic in nature. The action plan itself calls for the collaboration with colleagues, administrators, and students in particular. Student participants in this can also become a co-researchers of it. This principle of collaborative research enables and presupposes that every individual's ideas which are used for the development of the action plan are given equal significance and considered as a potential resource. It strives to avoid the skewing of credibility stemming from the prior status of an idea holder. It especially gives an acknowledgement for all the minds worked in collaboration to contribute for the betterment of educational practices. Next key principle is risk. A practitioner involves in action research when he does not feel happy or desires to bring improvement in his practice. We know in everywhere we are facing some risk problems in doing researches. So here also some of the risk factors are involved, like physical risk, or psychological risk, etc. The newly designed action research to be implemented in place of previously established ways of doing things emanates a kind of psychic fears in the researcher. Testing the workability of the new plan by practitioners involves risk, but without taking challenges in hand, no development or no progress is possible. Any researchers should cross this line, feel and try for new solution and improvement. When one finds in the current practices, in some situation, the ego would stem among the colleagues in workplace by one interpretation, ideas and judgments. Initiators of action research should apply this risk-taking principle and support the new ideas and battle the fears and invite participation and show their readiness to such research in a voluntary basis. So next key principle is plural structure. The nature of the action research due to its collaborative quality embodies for a multiplicity of views, commentaries and critics, which in turn leads to changes in action plans and interpretations. Thus, a plurality while reporting an action research is inevitable. This plural structure in action research accounts for many explicit commentaries and their contradicting views with a range of options for the action to be executed. Hence, instead of final conclusion, the entire process reporting with the ongoing discussions among collaborators enables a perfect report for action research. And final key principle is theory, practice, and transformation. That is, theory, practice are internalized. Continuous transformation is made through the practice of action research. Here, the theory informs a new practice and it refines and it contributes for the development of a new theory. Any action is planned based on idea with implicitly held assumptions, theories, and hypotheses, and the theoretical knowledge being enhanced by the findings of research. When explicit judgments are given empirically proved action, it reduces the fatigue in the formation of theory. The ensuing practical applications that follow are subjected to further analysis in a transformative cycle that continuously alternates emphasis between theory and practice. Hope you understood all the comprehensive overview of 6 key principles. They are reflective critic, dialectical critic, collaborative resource, risk, creating plural structures, and finally, theory and practice internalized. This was given by Winter in 1989. Next, importance of action research. Encourages changes in school, fosters a democratic approach to education, empowers individuals through collaboration on projects, encourages educators to reflect on their practice, promotes a process of testing new ideas. Next is scope of action research. Focus on immediate application, skill in research process, ability to work harmoniously with others, develop professional spirit, involve classroom teaching to solve classroom problems. We'll see one by one. Action research is focused on immediate application, not on the development of a theory, not upon general application. It has placed its emphasis on a problem here and now in a local setting. That's why we say that it focuses on immediate application. It has placed its emphasis on a problem here and now in a local setting. Many action research projects are carried out in a classroom by a single teacher. As it becomes more extensive, it becomes more similar to other types of educational research. The emphasis is action research, not an obtaining generalizable scientific knowledge about educational problems, but on obtaining knowledge concerning a specific local problems. The function of action research, therefore, is to combine the research function with teacher growth in such qualities as objective thinking, skill in research processes, ability to work harmoniously with others, and develop professional spirit. Quite often, many teachers will not have the time. Many teachers will not have the resources. Even many teachers will not have the technical background also to engage in formal research activity. But more teachers can be involved in this action research activity, and model studies may be undertaken for the purpose of trying to improve local classroom practices. Next, we'll see the types of action research. There are two major types, that is individual action research and collaborating action research. Individual action research is working independently, and collaborating action research involves a group of teachers or researchers working together to explore a problem that might be present beyond in a single classroom. Whereas individual action research involves working independently or a project. For example, a school teacher conducting research in her own class, that is an individual action research. Collaborating action research is nothing but we can join as a team with other teachers or other group, a small group working together. Different areas of action research. Action research being a scientific method of solving immediate problems in the school setup could emerge from any of the following areas. Number one is academic. Classroom situation, method of teaching, questioning climate, student discipline, problems of disabled children and the like. The next is social. Late coming, not doing home assignment, poor attendance, lack of cooperation of students, lack of physical amenities and the like. See, later on, after this different areas of action research and also the action research cycle, I'll be asking you some few questions. Suppose if student teachers are there, B.Ed students are there, M.Ed students are there, or research students will be there. So you will be undergone that internship practices. In that, what are the difficulties you faced? So you will be discussing later on. So I'll be asking questions later on. So here itself, I'm giving a clue on it. So each subject will be seeing how the action research will be taken place. Okay. So next is curriculum. Textbooks, time-bound syllabus, lack of teachers, mismatch of age and content, gaps in information, given guidance to teachers, arrangements of content, coverage of the subject area, etc. These are the curriculum part. Professional, self-growth, desirable attitudes, motivation, leadership, and like. Next is administrative. Planning, training, framing the timetable, etc. And finally, evaluation. Evaluation, we know it's a test type, the achievement test, diagnostic test, etc. It is the periodicity of testing, scoring, giving feedback, and so on. So evaluation. These are the different areas of action research. Once again, it has academic area, social area, curriculum, professional, administration, and evaluation. A very important aspect in the action research is action research cycle. So we all know the action research cycle. Identify the first step, identify and describe the problem. That is identification of the problem. Because when here comes, many student teachers don't know how to find the problem in the classroom. They will be undergoing in the internship period. They will be thinking if they want to do action research or case study file, they will be thinking what type of problem I can take for the action research file. So like that, they will be thinking. So first you should identify the problem. There will be so many problems that we'll be discussing later on. As I said, subject wise we will be discussing, and general problems also we will be discussing. So before that, whatever the problem is, so you should first confirm and very clear that what type of problem you are going to analyze. So you have to identify the problem. That is very, very important. You just can't like blindfold, you can't take the problem. Okay. So action is just you're doing something action. So you have to identify the problem, exactly what you want to change it. You want to make this change you want to give solution for the change problem. So you have to make some the problem topic should be very innovative or very effective, and it should be very useful to the students in the educational setup. So identify and describe the problems. So the approach is eclectic in nature, that is which facilitates the researcher to combine various approaches, methodologies in research, depending upon the goals and abilities of the participants. This research process adapts the changes and modification to suit the environment of the learners. The action research due course of its process contributes for the development of new ways. That is, it generates new ideas and perceptions which are validated, tested through repeated cycle of research, take up the role of the theory development. And second is generate and analyze the data. So here, after identify the problem, what I will do? I will analyze the data, why it is so. So how and will be, you should be very useful, and also you should see that you can find some review of literature for this action research also. Because they may be found out some problem solutions in that through the educational field. So you can review of literature also is very important for the action research. Finding some reviews that will be helping out in go through to do this action research project. So generate and analyze the data. So unlike other researchers, it is like an open-ended research. It starts with concept and is conducted based on the perception or idea. It has been generated through the experience of the practitioner rather than with a fixed hypothesis. There are no specific norms or regulations as far as action research is concerned. This makes it informal in nature. It enables the researcher to frame his own guidelines. The framework of which is right and which is wrong is all decided by the researcher. So planning intervention. So what type of planning you will go through it? So what type of strategies you are going to plan? So identification of the problem, then you know how to generate and analyze the data, and you will plan the strategies. Planning is very important. So planning the strategies according to the problems. Then introduce and monitor the intervention. That is how you are introduce that strategy into that problem solving. Okay. The essential aspect of the action research is a self-evaluative nature. That is, stepwise progress is keenly noticed and constantly checked by means of self-evaluation by the researcher. most of the action researches are planned for classrooms or small groups. So I already said this action research is we already conducted in a small group. Like a research, we can't collect the data in a large number. For example, in M.Ed level, we are collecting the data. Can you give some ideas? Can anyone put it in the chat box for in the M.Ed level? If you're going for the thesis, what is your sample size will be? In chat box, you can just type it. Anybody? In M.Ed level, what will be your sample size? Or in the PhD level? Very good. Kalpana, Dr. Kalpana, thank you. Yes, 300. Yes. In PhD level, just some small, give your idea. In PhD level, what will be the sample size? We can't say everything is right and everything is wrong according to your own perspectives, according to the sample they are taking in. Yes. Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Kalpana. So, yes. So, but here in action research, the sample size is very, very small. You can't take the whole group because, for example, in a classroom, if you see, I'm just saying an example. See, everybody in the classroom, suppose I'm taking a 9th standard. In 9th standard, suppose 60 students are there. Among the 60 students, only 10 students, the handwriting will be very bad, or 10 to 15 students, we can make it as a small group. We can't say that all the 60 students have poor handwriting. Right? Am I right? So same thing only. So this is the problem I identify. Even some other problems like doing spelling mistakes or grammatical mistakes in their subjects. Not everybody will do the mistakes. Only few students will make mistakes. So that is the problem as a teacher I noticed. So what I will do? So I will pick up those students in the classroom and I will do action research to a small group. So here that is a very benefit for the teachers to do the action research in a classroom. It's not only for the B.Ed, even for the schools also. When the student teachers practice in B.Ed level and they go to the schools and they also practice this action research and implement their steps there, okay, in the, wherever they go to the schools for teaching. So that is very important. So most of the action researches are planned for classrooms or small groups. That's why I said it's a small group. Local issues or prime concern of action research. Here the issue is diagnosed by real practitioners. Practitioner means the teachers to make a deliberate plan in response to it to be implemented. Its scope flinches from individual development, later gradual to the large scale improvement. Though both inductive and deductive reasoning be drawn upon for action research, it also seems to be abductive. The inferences of action research are simple explanation derived from observation. That is only after introducing and monitor the intervention, we are analyzing the data, evaluating the data. How we can analyze the data? Here we are keeping the pre-test and the post-test. Okay, the pre-test, suppose a student is very, how can I find the problems? How can I find whether the student is making a mistake? So by keeping the pre-test or giving a test, I can find out how many students are doing mistakes or how many are well good in studies or how many are average, like that I can analyze it. So from that pre-test, I pick up the student and for that students, I'll be conducting the action research and I will frame the hypothesis in what way I can give hypothetical strategies to implement in the classroom to overcome those problems. Like that, I'll be planning it. Then after some days, I'll be keeping again a test, post-test, from the marks between the pre-test and post-test. So I'll be come to a conclusion that they will be definitely, they will get an improvement in that post-test. Definitely you will see an improvement in the post-test. That is a very important step. So pre-test posters is very important for this action research. Okay. And observations leads to plausible conclusions. Finally, the review process. So whether this action is very advisable or very valid for me to applicable for the future projects or any other things. Okay, the actions are guided by the plausible hypothesis to explain the observation and guides the next follow-up plan, so that the next follow-up plan where it is tested and immediately through action. You can also help the other teachers to also same hypothetical things to the overcome these problems in the education field. So hope you understood this action research cycle. So next is, as I said, what are the major concerns and what are the problems we can see in the classrooms. These are some of the examples I have given, but you might have lot of problems you will be facing. You can also share to me in the chat box, like late submission of assignment by the students. Not again, I'm saying not all the students will be doing this mistake. Only some particular students will be late submission all the time. All the time they will be very late. Late submission of assignment by the students. Consistent low achievement in academic subject. That is every time they will be, that is they will be very good in sports, but they will be poor in studies, like that. Okay, so consistent low achievement in academic subjects. So you can find out why that person is always getting low marks. Unruly behavior of the students, always unruly behavior in the classrooms. Pronunciation problems. So especially for the language, it comes for Tamil or your vernacular language. You know, the vernacular is a local language. So you're from different states in India. So, you know, vernacular language, the local language, and also English, mainly the English pronunciation. Though they study in English medium, but they can't pronounce the English word properly. So this is the small problems. No, it's not small problem, a very big problem. But we can, through action research, we can apply some strategic plan to the students and by giving some trainings to them, and we can overcome that. So that in future, they won't do that pronunciation problems. So pronunciation problems of the students also, we are seeing it in the languages, not only in languages, even in other subjects also. For example, in biological and all, we have the lot of botanical names, zoological name. The term is itself very difficult. So by heart. So we'll discuss later on. Next slide will be explaining you according to the subject wise. So before I go into that, I'm just giving an overall major concern. And lack of reading habits among the teachers. Even administrative level, as I said, the types and the different areas of action research, even the teachers also having some lack of reading habits. So without reading the content, they'll go to the class and they will take class. They don't have any ideas of the concept of taking the class. So this is the lack of reading habit. They won't read. So this is a major concern we are seeing nowadays. You're already seeing, it's not that many degrees we are adding it. It's mainly the concept or mainly the content the teacher should be. That's why the B.Ed has been, you know, very well, why nowadays the B.Ed has become 2 years. The reason is, you know, Justice Verma Commission, due to that we have 2 years of B.Ed. The reason is the quality of the standard of teacher is not up to the mark, because everybody is not, we can see the English teacher or English professor or whatever, they are not very good in English. Okay, so they have to read more and more books. So that is lack on the blackboard itself, teachers were making is by students practice while writing on the blackboard. Ma'am, am I audible now?
Yes,
Hello?
ma'am. Yeah, yes, ma'am. You are
Oh, yes,
audible now.
ma'am. I have lost the connection.
Yes,
Sorry.
ma'am.
Okay. So last one is lack of cooperation among teachers. So this also we can see nowadays in many educational settings. So lack of cooperation among the teachers. Okay, they will have ego problems. So many like that. So even extra classes or some other. So the administrative, in beginning itself, I told the different areas of action research. So the administrative will take part in that. What type of thing they will do it for the lack of cooperation of the teachers level, even the dropouts level in the schools. What is the reason? The administration can take care of that, and they can analyze what is the reason for that lacking of things, or getting complaints from the parents, or getting complaints from the other teachers because of lack of cooperation among teachers. So these are the major concerns where the administration part can take part in. And next is steps in action research. So in cycle itself, I have explained action research cycle itself. I have explained the identification of the problem, the pinpointing the problem, diagnosing the causes of the problem, formulation of action hypothesis, designing and implementing the action plan, simple procedure of analyzing the data. So that is, I told you in the beginningly, the problem, the identification of the problem is very important. Okay. And also you should pinpoint that problem, why you have selected that problem. That is very important. And diagnosing. So for example, I'll be telling the reason. It may be the physical reason, or it may be the psychological reason, or it may be the social reason for that problem. So you have to diagnose what is the cause of that problem. It's not like a general problem a teacher can solve that. If you are taking, if you want to take the action research, it might be it's a very long, it's not, problem should be a very long process. It should need some hypothetical strategies to solve that problem. That is only in designing and implementing the action. Okay. So that some procedures are very much important in analyzing the data. So this some of the problems identified by the student teachers. So as I said, the language, the vernacular language, mostly the English and mother tongue. They will do the grammatical errors because they have a grammar, phonetic proficiency, reading and writing efficiency. Okay, so everybody don't have the writing skill. Some are very good in writing, or how to make a sentence like that. So reading and writing efficiency. Even though they are studying English medium, they don't know how to speak in English. They will be studying in English medium. They don't know how to write proper English. Okay, so these are the languages problems you can identify in the students in the schools. For the mathematics, how you can see, I'm saying some of the example what I'm giving to you. You can also share where you can face some of the problems in chat box. Okay. For mathematics, basic concepts of arithmetic operation, students will be doing mistakes in basic arithmetic operation. They will be doing mistakes, formula mistakes, and omitting the steps. You know, in mathematics, the steps are very important. And also the putting the signs, mathematical signs That is like plus sign, minus, into multiplication, division. So in that also they will be doing mistakes, even though like learning disability. Some will have a learning disability, but that is not a real thing here. If they have learning disabilities, we can that overcome problem is different. But here some will be doing by mistakenly, omitting the steps in mathematics. Omitting the steps means the step 1, step 2, step 3 will be there. Directly after step 1, they will go to step 4. In between the step 3, they will be omitting that mistake. So in mathematics, every step has a mark. You know that. So mathematics teacher know that every step has a mark. Though that person has got a full marks in the max, that person, if a student go and ask to the teacher, I didn't get the marks, my answer is correct. But what will be what teacher will say? What teacher will say? Definitely she will say that you have didn't put that step, how you got that answer. Okay. So like that, even in the graph, there will be not in that x-axis or y-axis like that. Okay. So omitting the steps. Weak in concept application. So mathematics is very important because that is the only subject where they can score center. So if they are very weak in that concept, and a single number, a single thing, they will lose a mark. It's a chance to lose a mark. So that's why mathematics, I'm saying that for a single mistake, they will lose a mark. Not like other subject, what they will write, some other 2 lines they'll write, they'll get a marks, but not in maths like that. Okay, am I right? So next is physical science. In B.Ed level, physical science, we can categorize into 2, that is physics and chemistry. We both combined will say as physical science. So in that, what type of problems they will face? Balancing the equation, problem solving in physics and chemistry. You know, a lot of derivations are there in physics and chemistry, you know, balancing the equations. Difficulty in understanding the theories and laws. That is very difficult because the derivation, they have to by heart. They can't write it of their own, the laws, the theories, the equations, balancing the equations. So in that, students will be making mistakes. So as a teacher, as a physical science teacher, what I should do to solve this problem? Like in that angle, the teacher should think. Next, biological science. Poor concept of sketches in drawing, labeling the parts wrongly. So as a biology teacher, biological science means botany and zoology. So botany means floral diagram is there. Zoology, definitely we have a drawings. So drawing keeps in a very important part because they score marks for the drawings and the labeling the parts. Okay, so sketches very poor in drawing. Because of that poor in drawing, they will be losing mark because many of the essay type questions, most of the drawing related or sketches related questions will be asked in the schools. So even though they are biological students, they are very poor concept of. Now, again, I'm saying, I'm not telling all the students in the class. Some students will be facing this type of problems. Poor concept of sketches in drawing and labeling the parts wrongly. Next, history. We know that history students as a history teacher, what I will see from the students. Students forgetting the years and names in historical events. See, there are so many years they have to by heart. They will be confusing it. So the history teacher can give a clue or whatever the strategy she make the students to understand and make them to remember the years very easily. Students forgetting the years and also some of the names in historical events. The years is very important to by heart and keep in mind. Okay, the next is geography. Students do mistakes in marking the maps. So map marking, they have a marks for the separate marks is there. So how clearly they should make understand in marking the maps so that you can, as a geography teacher, she can make do action research in that. And accountancy. accountancy, confusion with the golden rules because everything is golden rules for accounts. Wrong posting of entries. Students are making a confusion with the adjustment entries. So these are some of the problems done by the student. So this is account teacher can see this type of problems. Okay. So commerce, difficulty in remembering the terminologies, difficulty in understanding big trading concepts, difficulty in differentiating trading firms. So as a commerce teacher, she knows these are the areas where students make mistake. So she can find out those students and she can give that hypothetical ways or strategies to how to make them to understand better, to improve better or score more marks. So as I said, through the pre-test, teacher will be analyzing all these problems. After that, she'll be giving the hypothesis or strategies, and then she'll be giving a next post-test. She'll be finding definitely good marks will be there. Okay, so economics, difficulty in remembering terminologies, difficulty in remembering the year. Again, here also in economics, years are there, lot of years. They have to by heart the years. Difficulty in understanding the theories and laws. So this is all the problems we can see from the economics subject. So next is general problems identified. As I said, overwriting. So if you see the notebooks of the children, they will be overwriting. Okay, so overwriting, slow in writing. Some students are very slow in writing. Some will be skipping in between lines. Poor handwriting, as I said earlier, poor handwriting is applicable for all the subjects, not only one subject. So for all this poor handwriting, entirely poor handwriting, always failing in one particular subject. Latecomers, sleeping in the class, talkative, lack of communication. I just give one or two hypotheses how you can overcome in other problems also. For example, poor handwriting. What you will do as a teacher, if you find a student in poor handwriting, can you give your suggestion in the chat box? If you find a few students have a poor handwriting, what will be your next step? What you will do in the classroom? Anybody? Okay. Writing exercises. Okay. So very good. Binolia Devakumar, 4 lines note for improvement. Very nice. Yes, this was the handwriting practice. Yeah, practice for and this is the answer I was expecting. Thank you so much, Krishna Radhi. Okay. Ask the students to bring the 4 lines notebook and daily ask them to write. Yes, worksheets for handwriting. Ask them to write. Ask them to practice in the classroom, so that their handwriting definitely will be improvised. Okay, so poor handwriting. So like that, cursive writing also. So here the latecomers, any one day if they come late, it's okay, it's normal due to any situation. If a particular student's coming all the time late, it might be due to some psychological problem or social problems like that. Suppose the students might work, many students nowadays, I can see after school hours, they are going for a work, okay, for the income, for the financial. So for that, they will be going to the night, they will be working and they will be coming to school, they will be sleeping late night. And so they are getting up late. So they're coming to school also late. So you should analyze it, why they are coming late always. So latecomers, that's why I already said the teacher should always find a problem, analyze the problem. What after you are selecting the problem, you should find what is the reason for that problems. The latecomers, sleeping in the class, same reason. It's same. Some may have physical issues. Some may have physical issues. So they might always we can sleep. That particular person will be always sleeping. A teacher knows. Teacher can find out all this because every individual is unique in the classroom. So easily the teacher can identify each and every student in the classroom, whether that particular student is sleeping always. So sleeping any one time in the classroom, it's okay. Due to some function or due to some illness, the student will be sleeping. But always sleeping in the classroom, it's a problem for them. Even talkative. We can't control the particular student, so that we can't say that and it comes under an ADHD, it's totally different. Even a normal person is very talkative. So lack of communication, that I already said, though they are English, but they don't know how to communicate in proper English, or how to write a letter, or how to even to read the textbooks English. So there's a lack of communications are there. So these are the general problems I think. This also, as a teacher, they can take as an action research in their classrooms. So this will be very helpful for the student teachers, those who are going for the internship during school practice. And this is a planning sheet for action research. So as I said, you can plan it, the action research 5. So I'll make my students to write all the introduction, objectives, principles. It's all that writing part, theories and all, one part. And secondly, I'll ask them to planning sheet. It is called planning sheet or plan for action. So what my topic of research is about, okay, or identification of the problem. So at this stage, you may only have a general idea about the area of study. So writing down will help you a lot. So every time you have to make a sheet like this and you write it. Why do you wish to research this topic? So already I said, you read or heard something about the topic, or professional reason may be important here, or responsibility within your institution is there, or attending a professional development course, or it may be that your institution has applied for funding to undertake an action research body. So this need to improve or change something in your practice. Next, you should think that this plan is realistic, or it's doable and or supported. So what possible challenges might you face? Lack of time. Colleagues may not hold the same views as you and would perhaps block the progress of your project. Make a list. This I already said. What are the drawbacks it will come? So the lack of ego problems, your lack of time, the commitment is very important. Suppose if you are taking up the project, so you have to very committed to that. That's why I said the support from the administration is another way of thinking. It's another angle. You should need a support from the administration, support from your colleagues. Then only you can take over that project smoothly. Write down a work title. What is your research question? What aspect you are intending to study? So whatever the problem you are taking, why I am taking this? Is there any use for the students in the classroom? Whether they will benefit in that way of doing what I'm doing, the actions, will they benefit? So that all you should think. So that is only the self-reflective. You should think and you should talk to yourself and ask whether what I'm doing is right. What I'm doing this action, this is, am I right? This may take several attempts from all your ideas. So it's very most elegant and focused, which conveys your intentions clearly. Your initial knowledge about the topic is recorded. What readings and literature are available that you know of. A conceptual map may be helpful. That's why I said even the review of literature is very important, even for the action research. Who will be involved in the research? What is the timeline? What ethical procedures you need? So colleagues, children, parents, external evaluators, it's a realistic timeline only. For action research in B.Ed, during internship time, they are doing it. So nowadays, nearly 3 months. In the 3 months, they will be, once they enter into the school, they can't, identify the problems at once, because it is not right. First thing is, once they step into the school for the teaching practice, first they should observe. Observation is very important. After observation only, they should identify it. So timeline is needed for this. We can't do it on the spot. We can't identify the problem on the spot. It's not like a social problem. Identifying the problem on the society. It's not like in the classroom, you should need some time. You should observe the students, in what way they are suffering, in what way the students are facing the problem, in what way they are doing it. So like that, you need some timeline. So where I will search for literature. So the thing about inflation database will be most useful for your research, the topics. So how you research falls into it and look for publications related to those fields. So are there any primary sources that will be useful for your research, or will it be a secondary sources like that? So next is, what data do you need to collect? What do you need each of them? So data is nothing but students test, the students, as I said, the pre-test and the post-test. So based on that, they will be doing the calculations, action research, and graph. They will be putting how that graph goes on before the pre-test and the post-test, the comparison. What are the possible outcomes of this? That's why I said the benefits and outcomes for you, the personally and professionally, for the people you teach or work with, and for your institution. You may also think about what knowledge may be generated that would be shared with others. Okay, so overall, whatever you are doing, finally you are asking, research will always start with the question. What is your research question? Same thing here also. You start with the research question. You may have changed it after completing the previous section of the script. And if not, you still need to write down and what the research question is. Next is benefits of action research. So it focuses on educational issues, problems or concerns, potential to impact program change, a form of teacher professional development, collegial peer interaction, reflection on own teaching learning, and improved communication. So as I said, if you do all those things, definitely the benefits will be in the educational, it will overcome the educational issues, the problems, everything. And also there will be an improvement in all the problems, like communication problems, everything. The 4 issues in which action research is different. There are some of the 4 issues. It is not the usual thing teachers do when they think about their teaching. Action research is more systematic and collaborative in collecting evidence on which to base rigorous group reflection. That's why it is not the usual thing teachers do when they think about their teaching. It is not simply problem solving, because not just problem solving, it motivated by a quest to improve and understand the world by changing it and learning how to improve it from the effects of changes made. The next is, it does not treat people as objects for research. It is not research done on other people. It's not like that. It is a research by a particular people on their own work to help them to improve what they do, including how they work with and for others. It treats people as autonomous, responsible agents who participate actively in making their own practices to be more effective. It does not treat people as objects for research, but encourages people to work together as knowing subjects and agents of change and improvement. And finally, it is not just hypothesis testing or about using data to come to conclusions. It is not just about the hypothesis testing. It is concerned with changing situation, not just interpreting them like a historical sciences. Action research is systematically evolving, a living process, changing both the researcher and the situations in which they act. Neither the natural sciences or the historical sciences have their double aim. So these are the 4 issues in which action research is different from the other research. So to conclude, in simple terms, action research has 2 concepts. The first is action, and the second is research, which exhibits the links between them, set by Hall and Keynes in 2005. Action research starts with small cycles of planning, acting, observing, and reflecting, which can help to define issues, ideas, and assumptions more clearly. It allows us to build records for improvement. This is an approach to improving education by changing it and learning from the consequences of changes. So I conclude by saying action changes things. I believe that action changes many things. So let us bring change through our action in education. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The future is built on the flow of new ideas. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your valuable thoughts with us. Dear participants, if you have any queries, kindly type it in the chat box.
Once again, I would like to thank the management, principal, and staff of MGR Educational and Research Institute, Chennai, for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rubina ma'am. It was a wonderful session. We can
Thank you.
find it out from the feedback chat box.
Yes.
Yeah, very interesting and informative session, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'll be sharing the PPT in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. I will share it in the group itself.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Dear participants, if you have any queries, kindly type it in the chat box. I hope you have made it clear, ma'am. That's why there is no questions. Everything is appreciation for you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, madam. Very
Thank you,
good
Geeta, ma'am.
presentation.
Yeah.
It was very informative.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks a lot for spending your valuable times
Thank you so much.
to along with us. I think all the participants, they would have gained the knowledge out of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Joy is the simplest form of gratitude. Now I invite Ms. Vinolia to propose vote of thanks.
I take immense pleasure in delivering the vote of thanks on behalf of Faculty of Education, Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute on this remarkable occasion. We enunciate our deep sense of gratitude to our resource person, Mrs. J. Rubina, Assistant Professor, Stella Matituna College of Education, Chennai, who despite of her busy schedule has found time to grace the occasion. Ma'am, your intricate words on active research has enlightened our minds and have created awareness on the importance of active research as teaching professionals. Thank you, ma'am. We express our sincere thanks to our Honorable President, Engineer ACS Arun Kumar, for providing us his support and opportunity to conduct this event. We take great pleasure in thanking Dr. K. Geeta, Principal, Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute, the backbone and the reason for this event. We owe special gratitude to all the heads, professors, research scholars, and students of various colleges and universities for making the time to be with us today and making this event more valuable and memorable. Finally, I thank all the staffs, research scholars, non-teaching staffs, and students for the effort and cooperation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am, for your gratitudinal note. Dear participants, feedback link have been posted in the chat box. Kindly fill it. Thank you so much, Rubina, ma'am.
Thank you, Maria Sukanti. Hope you are all fine.
Yes, ma'am. Very interesting session. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Rubina ma'am,
Yes, Pavai.
ma'am, could you please turn on your video?
That's why I'm searching the video. It's on only. That's why I'm checking. The video is not on. Shall I come in another system?
Yeah, sure, ma'am, sure.
I'll come in mobile.
Dear participants, day 2 feedback link is posted in the chat box. Kindly fill it. Now the session came to an end. Once again, I thank all the participants who joined us virtually. Thank you.
Pavai.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. We have taken the photo. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much. It was a wonderful session, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Geeta ma'am.
I think some technical issues, ma'am. She couldn't talk. Rubina, ma'am.
Yes, Pavai.
I think principal ma'am is having some technical issue.
It's okay. It's okay. No.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Shall
you.
I leave the session?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Thank you.